Greetings, everyone. This is the Hipster Snick, and as promised, I got to see the Five Nights at Freddy's movie today. And if you guys are here for a short, quick, punchy review without having to get bogged down into spoilers and the such, I will just say this: it's pretty darn good. I really enjoyed it. The Jim Henson Muppet feature is incredibly well done. I think it was the best way they could have done it. I had hoped from the beginning they would. And seeing all these years later, having followed this franchise from FNAF 1 till today, I really, really, really liked it. It's good. Go see it. If you're not a fan, then it's not going to make you see the light. It's not suddenly going to make you interested in something that you were decidedly not interested in, but it may be an entertaining popcorn muncher nonetheless. Now, let's get a little bit more into the weeds here. To begin with, the movie very loosely and quickly adapts the plot lines found in FNAF 1 and FNAF 3, but kinda, sorta, more on that later, and borrowing elements kinda willy-nilly from the franchise taken as a whole. It is important to note that the movie itself is its own conveniently little branched off alternate timeline. You don't actually need knowledge of the games and the series and the fandom to enjoy the film, but if you do like those things, you will notice them, and it'll add a little bit of something. Matt Pat does show up in the film. That one FNAF song you're all thinking of is used in the credit sequence. It's there just like we hoped it would be, so that was really exciting. So, in the story, it follows Mike Schmidt, who we all kind of predicted, who has really bad luck holding on to a job. His parents are gone, and all he has is his little sister, Abby. And he is deeply traumatized because we learn very early in the film that his little brother was abducted when he was younger, and he now only, like I said, has his sister as his only family. He ends up losing his current gig, which ends up, of course, landing him the job as security guard of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. While there, he realizes that this vivid, recurring nightmare he has, where he keeps flashing back to the events of his brother's kidnapping, are a lot more vivid, a lot more lucid there. And he's trying to use it using Dream Theory. There's literally a book that he has called Dream Theory. Nice little FNAF 4 fandom shout out there. To try to find out more details that he might have repressed or lost over the years. And while he's there, like basically like napping on his night shift, he ends up kind of encountering the restless spirits of the children in the pizzeria. I'm assuming that you guys kind of already know this. Like, I don't really think most people are going to meander blindly into this film without kind of knowing what they're getting into. But on the off chance that you don't, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza is a pizzeria that was really popular in the mid to late 80s that shut down due to a series of incidents that are all ginormous catastrophes, usually ending in fatalities, because it always is with Freddy Fazbear's. And it's best known for its animatronic mascots, being Freddy Fazbear, Chica the Chicken, Bonnie the Bunny, and Foxy the Pirate. So Mike is there trying to make heads or tails of all this and figuring out, like, oh, this is how the camera systems work, while all the while balancing his real life. He still has to have a babysitter for his little sister. He has to worry about his aunt is trying to get custody of his sister, even though the aunt is really this emotionally detached woman who just wants the paycheck from the government for adopting the girl. And it's a lot more human than I was expecting. There's warmth between Mike and Abby, and I love to see that, and I'm glad that wasn't forgotten in the weeds, because it would have been so easy to do. So Mike ends up like having these dreams. No matter where he is, he keeps having these dreams, but he starts trying to deliberately channel them using this recurring. He has a Walkman. He has a legit old school early 90s Walkman, which was so delightful. And the phones in this are like the small brick cell phones that were really common in the mid late 90s. It was super cool to see that they stayed very true to the technological norms of that time period. Super, super well done. So he has these dreams more vividly while he's at Fazbear's Pizza, and it starts tying him closer and closer to the children. The children are really, really cryptic. They're really unhelpful, and they attack him repeatedly. And that's a thing I should mention. Like, there's actually a little bit of blood. Like, I legit wasn't even expecting it because the most gruesome thing I think any of these games has ever had was like the eyeballs in the FNAF 1 game over screen. Like, I wasn't really expecting any kind of actual gore, but there's a few kills that are like genuinely brutal. There's one that's done purely in shadow, but it's animated so seamlessly. And speaking of animations, like I said, the animatronic characters are done using the Gem Henson creature shop, and it is gorgeous. They are done so well. I love the way they did it. The way the actors are moving in the suits is fantastic. They look like animatronic characters, even if animatronics don't typically have working legs. It was just really, really, really well done. Fantastic A-plus effort in the special effects department. And I know a lot of people were kind of nitpicky, a little bit salty about the red eyes thing. I think it's fine. It conveys the right idea. It someone who is not as familiar with the FNAF lore and the whole uncanny vibe that the first two games in particular were really shooting for will get the proper information conveyed. And at the same time, there is kind of a use of the whole pinprick, glowy eyes that we see in the first couple games. And it's done really, really well. It's worth waiting for. It's later into the movie. Not going to spoil it. Super well done, though. Now, there are some people, you get the cocky teenagers who break in and get torn to pieces. And one of the funniest things I think I've ever seen in my life is they let the cupcake that Chica carries around on a plate get a kill. It is glorious. I I loved it. Like there's this really good balance between that dark comedy found in the early FNAF games and also like the tension. There's a moment about midway into the film where Mike is kind of standing in the middle of the showroom, like between all these animatronic characters, and the tension is thick. He's just like, oh man, any one of these things at any moment could move and just like crush me like a bug, and there would be no fight at all. And you get that real sense of tension. Now, is it the same as playing the games? No, obviously not, because you're not the one in the hot seat. But I think they actually did a good job creating that kind of sense of unease. They actually balance that really, really well. Now, downsides, I have to say, is there are some pacing moments in the movie where things have to slow down. And because it's not like the games, they can't just sit there in the restaurant and have nothing but the restaurant. I don't know why people thought that would even be an option. But they have these moments where Mike has to slow down and gets a chance to kind of explain a bit more of the backstory. And they show what they reasonably can, but at the same time, they did kind of have to speed read through some bits of character building. And I get it. There was a lot of stuff happening in this film, and they wanted to have it where each night was significant in some way. And they wanted the threat to escalate accordingly. I think those moments were necessary, but there are kind of a lot of them. In fact, Vanessa from Security Breach shows up. And she's not a security guard working for Fazbear Entertainment. She's actually a police officer. Like I said, alternate universe. And they do some stuff with her I was not expecting. But I think it's all really clever for the alternate universe that the movie happens in. For what the movie is and the fact that they don't have like 12 games, because now like Help Wanted 2 is coming out soon. They don't have that many games and all this time and all this fandom and speculation in order to build this world. They have one movie and one chance to get it right. If they don't, it's not going to go anywhere. I haven't seen the numbers yet because it's still opening weekend as of this recording, but I think this will do well. I think people will resonate very strongly with what they did for this alternate universe, including Vanessa's character. Mike and Vanessa have some really good on screen chemistry. I'm not really sure where they're going to go with it because you kind of have to check your expectations at the door. This is Scott Cawthon writing, so you never know. You never know if anything that you know previously is going to do any good at all, but there are moments, really good Easter egg moments scattered throughout that I think you guys will really, really enjoy. Now, that being said, uh, let's get into the spoiler segment. Cog is unavailable at the moment, so I don't have that neat little soundbite that we normally use. So, hey, here's your warning. Click off the video now or prepare for some light spoilers. I'm not going to go into everything, but I'm going to go into a bit of it. And there was one that I'm not sure of. One character that you see fairly early into the film has this one shirt, and I swear to you, I would need to be able to pause the frame and zoom in on it because I wasn't sure. It looked like the Motor Raceway mini game from Pizzeria Simulator. I could be wrong on that. I would need to actually get the DVD and be able to pause it to verify that. If so, really cleverly done. Really interesting way to kind of slip that under the radar. I'm sure there's more that I must have missed because Scott Cawthon, but I'm really glad they added the stuff that they did. Now, the big thing that I really liked, and that this is definitely hard spoilers, is William Afton is in the film, and he's alive. He's not actually Springtrap. But he does use the Spring Bonnie suit as basically armor and his way of kind of commanding and manipulating the other possessed animatronics. With maybe the exception of Golden Freddy, it's a little unclear. They didn't really go into that too much, but Golden Freddy does appear. As you saw in the trailer, there are 5 children that move around the haunted metaphor forest. I'm not going to go too much deeper into the weeds, but I will say that this is important, and it does tie into Vanessa and Mike in particular. Now, that being said, did I like it? Yes, absolutely. I really, really, really enjoyed this film. I think it would fall just short of saying that I loved the film, but for what it is and all the restrictions that were placed upon it and all the things that could have theoretically gone wrong in production or with the writing or with any other number of things, I think they created a really, really, really good film. So, final word on the matter, like I said before, go and see it. It's super fun. If you like FNAF, you'll like the film. I pretty much guarantee it. This has been the Hipster Snack, and thank you for joining me on this newest installment of Snekflix. Leave a like if you liked it, leave a comment, and tell me what you thought. Subscribe if you haven't already, and join us here each week for more reviews, Let's Plays, and the Tomodachi Bros podcast. Multiple links for more content in the description of every video every time. I will see you guys in the next one.